Welcome, everyone, and guests.
For which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Everybody's here. Everybody had a chance to look over the agenda and the minutes.
Agenda?
All in favor? You want to add to that? We had any
Get the money. We have to start.
about solar? Okay. Okay. Minutes? Short, but do you have a chance to click over?
Yep.
Motion to adopt the minutes on August 5th?
Minutes. And July 29th.
On July 29th.
Yeah.
Second,
Yep. I said.
all in favor?
Aye.
Closed? Carried. Report. I want to start by saying thank you, Joel, because we had two events, you and Paul. We had two events this weekend, and the new signs and the new cones were amazing. So thank you for being a part of letting us get it and coming from Hampton to help bail me out, and Paul for helping out too. Much appreciated. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Truck 4 is our 1984 utility truck that you probably hear and see going around town. We've been able to get really lucky with that truck for many years, not having to put a lot of work into it or anything. But it now has blown head gaskets. I have two quotes here to do that work. One of them's for $4,056. And the other one is for $2,868. So I'd like to know, typically one of our newer trucks or something like that, we would just go ahead and do the work because we basically have to. But this truck is substantially, considerably older. So I'd like to let the board know, I think we're getting towards borrowed time with this truck. And we can certainly fix it if that's what you'd like us to do. Oh, it's a 1984.
That's a big difference in quotes, though.
It
Is
is.
it 4,000?
One absolutely does not want to do it at all.
Yeah.
And the other one, that's what it would cost basically to do it. So, so I figured I would let the board know about that. Not here to ask for another brand new truck because I feel like it's every year we need something.
What kind of Volvo shape is it truck in? Generally, 84.
I mean, for an 84 to
Right.
be used, what it's used, it was previously an army ambulance.
Mhm.
We've got a lot out of it. And I don't know, maybe it still has a lot of life left in it. Maybe it doesn't. I truly have no clue at this point in time.
What's your feeling?
Yeah,
Feel
what would
like
you guess?
You think
2,800 worth a couple more years, or
If we could get a couple more years out of it, I think so. You know, it saves us from spending, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what we need to replace it with, and it doesn't need to be absolutely brand new, but it needs to be at least a 3/4 or 1 ton single rear wheel utility truck. And I would say diesel just because that's what the rest of our stuff is, and that's what we have on site is diesel. We don't have gas. But yeah, I mean, we can send it to Earls and let them do the $2,800 repair. But it's no promise that there won't be what's next. So
other than
I
the
just-
gaskets of the like seam?
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think 2 years ago on it in order to make it Vermont State Inspection compliant. I think we did about $2,000 worth of work roughly 2 years ago on it. It's got some light issues, but overall it does what we ask of it, and it is kind of our class 4 road vehicle, so we're not destroying something nice or beating something else up. So it really is kind of nice to have an older truck that you don't have to worry about putting a scratch in and say, oh, crap, this is a $90,000 truck that we just put a stick on the side on it or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Anybody
just figured I would let you guys know kind of where the fleet's at.
thoughts?
Fix it.
Fix it.
You need the truck.
Yeah.
Not gonna spend 70,000.
I think in 2,800 can buy you 3 years. It's, you know, the truck payments. More
But it
than,
may be more than 20.
Yeah, this is, yeah, I mean, Earl's is, it's gonna be pretty close. I mean, I think that Earl's is what we should do. That's where I bring the rest of our equipment is to Earl's and our big trucks and stuff, so. I would, by choice myself, I would say that $2,868.28 that they have quoted thus far. If that's what the board wishes.
there's probably not much like trade-in value with it at this point or anything like that to worry about. Like if it ends up being totaled next year,
You know, I should have done this. I guess I should have looked up maybe the NAD,
Yeah.
the Kelly Blue Book, but I don't know. It's had so much custom work to
Yeah.
beef up the axles, and it's only a 3-speed transmission, so we don't even take the thing out of town because it barely gets out of its own way. So
All drive?
yes,
All drive.
4-wheel drive,
Okay.
locked front and rear end.
That makes it worthwhile.
that'd be the only risk if it's like worth $5,000 right now and then put
Yeah.
2,800 into it and then like next year something happens where it's like, you know, then we have no trade-in value.
Yeah,
Obviously can't predict it.
Where did we get that from, Paul?
I mean, we have equipment repair fund.
Thoughts? Want to make a motion?
Yeah, fix it.
I would make a
So-
motion to put forward up to $3,000 to fix that truck.
up to 3,000.
Yeah, you said 28.
Yeah, that's what I have.
There's usually some overrunnings. Exhaust something.
Ready? Second?
I second that.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, let's fix the 1984 utility truck.
Okay, Earl's it is.
A couple more years.
And then-
Oh,
Maybe get a quote on what you need and then try to get an idea on the trade-in value. That way we have like something that.
Yeah, I could certainly do that. Last meeting, I had discussed how I got a quote for the slope repair, out by Town Farm Road for Route 140, and then where we had the steel plates and stuff. I have Wilk's quote in front of me. I told you the Pike was $32,327.88. Wilk's quote was $32,870 minus traffic control, so 34,000. Can't add that number on the fly, but anyways, 34,000, that'd be 35,000 and some change. Wilk's gonna knock off an immediate $2,000 if they do it while they're out here doing our annual paving. The second week, roughly the second week, tentatively the second week of September. So my thought is to go with Wilk while they're already out here doing everything. And that they may also be able to get the price down even more. It's just kind of unforeseeable at this point, but he did say we can immediately knock 2,000 right off of it. So that's that. And I will tell everybody that the annual planned paving is going to be happening, tentatively, like I just said, second week of September, second week of September. And Wilk will be doing that this year, Wilk paving. That's gonna include, Route 140, the green, the other one on the other side of on the green that I can't think of the name of right now. Bird Street, yeah, Bird Street. And then it'll be 140 from the village to the Fennel Hollow Bridge on 140, that whole section. It's also gonna be the access road for the transfer station, not the parking area, just the road off of Hillside to that area. And then it'll also be including, shim coating of the worst parts of Upper Road. Cause that absolutely has to happen before this winter. Then to let everybody know, we got the Class 2 paving grant, so that's why there's so much paving paving going. Thank Paul for that. He put in for that, so.
He's well.
What is it what are we talking for, closure? Time,
Closure.
yeah, like closing this road, again,
For paving,
yeah.
so paving, it'll bring things down to one lane. They're not gonna
Okay.
close the road
They won't.
to pave. But right in line with the paving, there is a culvert out by the town cemetery, between the town cemetery and East Poultney, just past Town Hill Road. There's a culvert that's failing. If anybody lives out in the East Poultney area, you can feel as you go through that dip where the
Yes.
Bryn Period Farm is on the right and the town cemetery is on the left. There's a culvert failing, which is doing the exact same thing as the steel plates, because that's gonna get paved. We need to actually fix that before that gets paved too. So next Tuesday, unless the board desires something else, next Tuesday, we're gonna have to close 140 in that spot for, I'm gonna say 8 to 4. Tentatively 8 to 4 Tuesday.
One day though,
One day,
Yeah.
yes.
the whole road.
We're gonna have to, yeah, we can't do one lane at a time on that, so. But hopefully we can do it in just a couple hours, but I'm just gonna say 8 to 4 to be on the safe side in case we have a blown hose or something, I don't know.
One day I need to use that road.
I'm sorry?
That's the one day I need to use that road.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I know it's inconvenient and there's no
No
good way
good
around.
no
There's
good way.
absolutely no good way
Done.
around for everybody in East Poultney. Emergency services already has a heads up, so people don't have to panic and think what will happen if there's an emergency. They will take care of that, so. We started our MRGP work today to get kind of back on schedule with some of what we had originally intended on until everything kept going different directions this year. And then, I have a quote from Long Trail Electric. This is more so for the transfer station. To move the electrical where the bank is giving away by the, furniture bin. I have a quote from Long Trail Electric to do what they would have to do in order for us to be able to bring the excavator up there and stabilize that bank for $850. I did get this a few months ago, but we have not had the opportunity to even think about it until, and we may not even have the opportunity to think about it until like October timeframe, but I did want to put it on your radar, so.
It's getting bad.
So you guys can think about that, but we'd like to catch that before all the concrete does completely shift away, so.
They can plan to move it to overhead.
There's a couple different potential plans. This is basically gonna get the power away from the old box where it is now, where the concrete, if you're going over towards that porta potty, the concrete's part of the slab is dropped like this and completely separated. It'll move all that over to the side, and then he could do an overhead. But because we go in there sometimes with the equipment and pack the dumpsters down, we're also not sure that overhead's gonna be the best option, so. Just figured I would throw that out, and if anybody wants to take time, and that's nothing we need to do anything.
And it's another, Danny has talked to me about putting a light above the compactor too.
Yeah, and I know that
There's about 4 or 5 things that need to be done up there.
in the previous years, we had discussed getting guardrails made for up there. We may be having enough waste blocks to bring waste blocks up and put waste blocks in front of those dumpsters. I don't think it would be a great idea in front of the demolition one because a lot of people back up there with dump trailers and do that. But at least, we could maybe, it's just a thought to put out there, maybe if we've got a bunch of leftover waste blocks, that's better than the 20,000 or whatever that somebody quoted the town to weld up a bunch of handrail.
That's a good thought.
That's what I've got. That's all I've got.
Thank you, thanks, guys. I know you guys started some mowing too, grading, so it's good.
Yeah, we do still have a little bit of mowing to do in South Poultney and over by the lakeside of South Poultney as well. We're trying, we're hammering down. I promise you, everybody is doing something. So
Do we know that?
Thank the crew.
But Mo doing okay?
The mower's doing well. Yeah.
Somebody is.
Joe, can I ask you a quick question? If you're going to be having Luke Paving do all this stuff, is it possible, rather than having your folks, your guys do it, that strip that we had the metal plates over, can they take care of that all at the same time too? It would save you guys some time to, you know.
When I had him come out and look at that, he really didn't seem like he had any interest in getting into small patchwork like that, but he's gonna come back out, I believe, this week or next week anyway, so I'll press him on that. Again, you're talking about where the steel plates are, correct?
Yep.
Is what you said?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll press him on it again because they're gonna have all the equipment out here. And, I don't know, maybe I can make something work with that. I'll press it harder, but, there's no guarantee on that. As of right now, it's not a.
Does it have to add more stuff to it so it slowly keeps packing down? Because I noticed it's getting big again.
Yeah, when you go, it's loose stone, and when you go from a higher spot to a lower spot and your tire drops and it catches, it digs and throws a little bit. And
I try to go to the spot that looks the highest, so I ease over a little to the right, so I can try to get that spot that's
yeah, I know it's not
not where all the
ideal.
tires are.
If it gets terrible, we will do something with it where it's terrible. But in the meantime, just keep in mind, we don't only have a few more weeks to deal with it, and then paving will be happening, so.
Thank you. Any other questions for Joel? Great, good job. Thank you very much. Developments.
So I have just a few things to share with the board tonight. The past couple of weeks, I've continued to take a few inquiries from private property owners about their property and resources that are available to them through either the state or locally. And I have been providing folks with some of that information that's available through the state. Relative to the village's infrastructure, the water and wastewater system, some folks are asking about constrained sites and things like that are on their property potentially. With the number of commercial properties that are for sale, it's kind of to be expected that some of that's coming up. So there's been some of those conversations that continues. It's good news, yes. And I just want to make sure that folks know that I can be a resource to help find some of the information. The clerk's office has been fielding some of those calls as well. I have been working with outdoor recreation folks quite a bit and will be for the next few weeks. The VORAC steering committee has several meetings coming up, and that's the statewide steering committee that I joined in December. So I'll be out a little bit throughout the state to see other communities that have VORAC grants and to learn a bit about their economic development strategies around them. Also what VORAC funded in the last round. So some of that is happening. And then I talked about it last time, but the Inclusive Spaces workshop is coming up next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So that is scheduled to take place at the high school. It's the Society for Outdoor Recreation Professionals that's hosting that workshop in Poultney. So I will be there at least on Tuesday, and we've had several other nonprofits and organizations in Poultney that are supporting those workshops. People will be out in the community. They'll be on the sidewalk networks. They'll be on possibly some of the gravel roads, the rail trail, the Poultney River Loop, and some of those spaces. So there'll be folks out there kind of assessing really how those spaces function. And so you'll probably have a lot of people looking around in Poultney next week. And then the most work the thing that I've been working on most is the MERP grants. So we did start billing against those grants for municipal project management in July, and grant administration. So we've started that project. We have been reimbursed for those reimbursement requests already. And we are continuing to work on the RFPs for both the town and the village for those. So that's the gist of my work for the rest of the week, really, making sure that those get out. We have scheduled, I think, if all of us are available on Friday, to go over a draft of the town's RFP for those projects, and that would include the senior center's work, the town offices work, and likely Stonebridge. So that is underway. We're hoping to get the RFPs out ASAP and go through a bid process, which would take at least a month to have those bids put out. So if we can hustle, we could probably start in October or in the fall on some of those projects. So part of the work of the RFP is prioritizing which buildings will start first, how that will go. All of them are occupied, and what that work might look like over the winter. So that is, that's my work for right now.
Hey, thank you, Sarah. It's good news. Yeah, that's
And I know, Mark, did you want to?
Yeah, I just like to add on to that grant thing. With the seniors, we are starting to look into putting solar into the rooftop of 1 or 2 buildings in town here. I started with the seniors, but the roof is not very good. It's not large enough, and it's getting old. So they shied away from that. So we're starting to look at the sand shed right next door. And we're also looking at the municipal sewer plant downtown. And I looked at the fire department today, that roof. Because one of my thoughts was that the whole town, the Poultney, uses a fair amount of power. It's about $45,000 a year. So if we build out a solar system, we can get all that covered at a greatly reduced cost over, say, the next 40 years. The Poultney will not be getting these $40,000 bills. The more like will be $5,000 to $10,000 every year.
is there a company that you're working with?
Yes. I contacted one company and they took a peek at it. And now we are looking at the areas. You know, the total usage for all the buildings. And there's a thing called the community solar where you can share the power of your array with certain. They implemented new rules in January. You're only supposed to go 1 lot over. So that could stop us for some of it.
I think we do that on Hampshire Fuller Road.
Yeah. What? You have some solar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But these rules started in January, and you can't go across town anymore. Somebody thought about it, and that's what they did. So anyway, I just want to keep the board up to speed that we all started to look into it.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, does that have to be up for a vote if we want to put solar somewhere? It's a board decision. How does that work?
It depends if we go beyond what the senior citizens, that's been funded already through the Murphy grant, right, up to a certain amount. But if we want to go for a townwide application, we may want to do a vote.
So you just said it doesn't work on the senior roof.
No, but
Sand shed.
the sand shed.
That controls the senior?
How diligent for like when they come out, are they just looking at like aerial views of roof surface area?
They measure the actual buildings. And,
Yeah, like we would need to kind of have an idea on like,
oh yeah.
yeah.
For the seniors, we're looking at somewhere around 60 panels. And the roof that we have cannot support.
Yeah. And they have a pretty obvious like payoff schedule. Like do they have like
You can cut into, yeah, right.
25 years they'll be paid off?
No, it'd be a lot quicker than that.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that makes this harder is the current federal administration has put a timeline into completing this work, January 1st. And it's because if you do it beforehand, they give you 1/3 of the money back. Right up front. So let's say that we put $200,000 into it. They would give us $7,600, $1,000 back. But it's got to be done by January 1st.
This year.
This year.
Started or done? Done.
Done.
So we'd have to talk to, make sure the firehouse isn't planning on a big remodel in the next, like whatever building we choose is.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we have to make sure we come up with
Right.
the maintenance, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered
Yeah.
too. To
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure,
The last
right.
question.
So
I'm
come
just
back to us with,
I'm just in the beginning stages of drawing that the info and stuff.
it would be great to have whatever
Yeah.
company decide, come to the meeting to
Oh, yeah.
give us like what it's gonna be.
Right.
Yeah.
So we definitely will, but that's kind of what I've been working on for 3 weeks. Yeah.
What you're really talking about is just solar for the senior
Right.
center, but you're just looking for a home for it.
Right.
So the town doesn't really have anything to do with it
The-
besides possible home for your solar, right?
The town has the buildings now. The village does have a solar agreement, which I'm not sure how old it is, Paul. Do you know?
It's only a couple of years old.
A couple of years old. And there's another rule that every electric bill can only be fed by one solar source. You can't have 2 or 3 different solar sources being fed into one bill. So we're talking only about the town. So I do have all the copies of the town, and they come to about 40,000
So just
a year.
as a little more context, the MERP grants do have solar panels as an eligible expense. So there's a prioritization of how those MERP funds are supposed to be spent in each of your buildings. It is the building envelope first, I believe, mechanicals, lighting, air sealing, and then you start to get into solar generation through solar panels, and then if you have any money left over, potentially solar charging units. So for the senior center, one of the things that we found is that the MERP grant is older. The assessment took place in 2023. The state's process of deploying the program took 1.5 years, and during that time, some of the things that happened, some of the things that were identified as energy conservation measures in the assessment were implemented by the senior center. So the senior center may not necessarily, they may be a little bit farther along in terms of the energy conservation measures that can be implemented through the MERP grant. So they might kind of be down to that point of solar generation as the viable measure for that building.
Yeah, the building's in generally decent shape. It's been maintained over the years. Right.
60 panels is quite a bit though, right?
The house is tiny. That's small.
So they would fit on that shed no matter, pretty easily.
Yeah, you could, up on the sand shed, you could definitely get 60 panels. But up on the fire department, you can get a lot more too. So,
So you'll come back and.
yes, I will to come back with a lot more
details.
numbers and dates and stuff.
And like, I think Alan's asking there's a deal, there's a surplus can go to the town's budget, or is it just all through the senior center, which?
No. Well, as long as we have the okay to go larger, we can definitely go larger.
And there's no contractual, like, we can't there's no limit to like, we can tap into that as the town.
Oh, yeah.
Save our, and feed the senior center.
Oh, yeah, right, yes. The seniors are fairly well set as far as the amount of power that we need.
Money that's funding it, is it just coming out of the one project for the senior center?
No, that would just do the certain amount that we need. But then if the town wants to join in on that,
The town wanted to spend its own money.
right, or possibly grants, I'm not sure.
So maybe collaboration.
Yeah, right. One big happy town. Right.
Okay, you'll keep us posted on the next steps and work with Sarah and let us know.
Yes. definitely involved in this.
Good. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Good. We do have a lot of solar panels around, so it's not like the first thing on our road, there's some.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The dry stuff is
Yeah.
2.4 megahertz.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions in the audience run to for?
Just a quick question regarding the timeline. Is this a reset for each year, or could this be then revisited next year for January 1st, 2026? Give you more time to hash it all out, or is it?
Well, to get the rebate, it's gotta be installed by January 1st.
I understand that, but I'm saying if you were to revisit it next year, would they offer a similar rebate
No.
program?
Don't believe so.
Not for at least another 4 years.
They're doing away with a lot of that
So
stuff.
they're doing away with it.
One time.
Yeah, a lot. Like,
Yes.
a lot of grants are going away for. solar.
Right, yeah, it's right. So it's kind of a deadline.
And the VERP grants need to be, at least in construction by next spring. I think currently we have until the end of next year to complete the MERP projects.
Right.
So there is a deadline on that grant as well.
Right. We're trying to utilize what we have available.
Brings the details. Great.
The detail.
All right. All right, Paul, for the town manager's report.
So Dr. Swithin Johnson has agreed to come and give us a little bit of her perspective on the feral cats issue, so I give the floor to you. Thank you for making the time to come.
Yes.
No problem. So I don't, obviously I wasn't here before to hear the discussions, so I'll just kind of start with knowing nothing. And how about that? Feral cats are a problem in just about every community. So this is nothing unique to Poultney. It has been studied a lot, nationwide, other countries. There's lots and lots of data, thousands of studies and information. So this isn't just my opinion. This is just what they know. And what they know is that, they are feral animal by definition is not a wild animal. A feral animal is a domesticated animal that is not tamed. So the same as having bobcats or mountain lions, it's domesticated cats that are out breeding, that are unowned, but often fed by people. And so there are often conflicting groups of people. On one extreme, there are the people that say, shoot them and kill them. And there are other people that want to feed them and love them and support them. And obviously it falls in the middle as the best way to handle it. And so what they do know is that if you just go in and try to eradicate the colonies and kill them, that it just opens up the territory for more cats to move in. And there will never, ever be a shortage of domestic or feral cats. They're everywhere. So killing them doesn't really work in the long run. You spend a lot of, not so much money, it's pretty cheap, but a lot of emotional, people get pretty upset by this. If you're shooting them, which is rather blunt, but effective.
Let that be known that we never said that we.
I know, but it is a cheap method, and it's honestly one of the easiest methods to eradicate.
Right.
Yeah. And just for the record, I mean, shooting, I'm not trying to be, shooting an animal is considered a humane method of euthanasia. It really is. If it's done correctly, it is humane. So, I'm not trying to be antagonistic here. That is an approved method of humane euthanasia. However, it's shown to be ineffective in the long run. So it just opens up the colonies and more cats move in. And so the trap, neuter, release system is well documented to kind of be the best method to control the populations. And so what that entails is typically, and these are the problem areas, typically volunteers. The hardest part of the whole operation, well, not the hardest, from my perspective, the hardest part is trapping the cats. It's not as easy as just going out and setting traps and hoping they fall under them. They become pretty savvy, and there's quite an art to effectively trapping the cats. And then you have to get them to a facility that is willing to do something with them, which is kind of where Paul approached me. And then so as a veterinarian, then what we would do is, obviously we can't touch them. They come in a live trap. And the only way I can lay a hand on them is ties them first. So the cost of anesthesia is kind of set in stone because I can't test them first and then anesthetize them. I have to anesthetize them to touch them. We test them for 2 viruses that are transmitted in the saliva usually from mom to kitten when she's grooming kittens. Both these viruses are associated with a very high, greater than 90% mortality rate within the first year. So we don't want those cats out in public because they're just kind of passing on these deadly viruses to others. So we would anesthetize them, test them. That's an in-clinic test. We have an answer in 8 minutes. We need 3 drops of blood. So it's a very easy test to do. And if they're positive, those cats we euthanize, but the ones that are negative then get spayed, neutered, rabies vaccinated, and we notch the ear. And the reason we notch the ear is so that when we release these cats and they end up in the same trap 6 months down the line, I don't have to re-anesthetize them to find out that I've already spayed or neutered them. So when whoever's handling the traps goes out, sees the cat in the trap with a notched ear, they just empty the trap and let them go. So, and that system has been shown to be quite effective. The cats typically stay in a territory and then they defend that territory. And so you stop the production of more cats and more kittens and you end up with a stable, relatively healthy population that doesn't perpetuate. So that's kind of the approved method, or so to, that's the one that's the most effective.
You just come drop them back off where they're caught? Like, how's that?
Yes, you go drop them off where you trapped them because they're in territorial
Yeah.
colonies. You can't just relocate them anywhere.
Yeah.
They have to go back to where they were
Yeah, I
trapped.
was just wondering how that part worked.
I think they're extremely hard to, I know, because I have it in my run now, they're extremely hard to get them, especially when they have kittens and there's more and more. It's like,
Well,
when you trap.
to trapping them.
right. So when you go into a new colony that hasn't been trapped, there's a very high trap rate initially. It's easy to trap them. You put food in the cage and they all run in and you trap them. But then there's a learning curve and they catch on. And so there is an art to trapping them.
Right.
And I did talk to the Humane Society. I was down there last week anyway, and they have no use for feral cats. Like they don't want the cats themselves, but they do have lots of traps available for us to borrow. I have one. I have one trap that I lend out to anybody, and I forever never know who has it because I neglect to write down who's borrowed it. And
I do the same thing.
oh,
I still have your crap file. There.
I don't know if my trap's in my basement or if my trap's lent out. I don't know. But I have one trap. But the Humane Society said they have lots of traps. So really the issue is with manpower to trap them and the knowledge base. And so they did say they could possibly, the feline connection, probably everybody here is familiar with a local feline group. The reason I bring them up is that they do a lot of this trap release. And so if nothing else, they could lend expertise or knowledge on best ways to trap. If they don't have volunteers available to come do it.
So my other question, let's just say they trap them, they bring them to you, and out of, you get 6 cats and 3 of them have to be put down. You're talking your cost for euthanizing them, and then we have to do something with them. They have to be cremated.
Correct.
What are the?
So I sent, of course, did I bring it with me? No, but I did email Paul with all of my numbers. Basically what I've done in the past and what, so, I bought the practice 8 years ago. We definitely see hit by car cats coming in, stray cats, broken legged cats, unowned cats. And I have euthanized them if they're not salvageable, at no cost. And I have no desire to make any money off the town. That's just been something I've done. So what I sent to Paul was kind of a list of just my costs alone. And I'm more than happy to donate time to do it. I just can't lose money by funding all of it, but I'm not looking to make any money whatsoever. So the money that I quoted him is the cost to cremate is what they quoted me with no markup. I know that's not, so yes, so then there's a cremation service we use, and they will group cremate them. You can't, people can say, if I just take them to the dump, you can't take them to the dump because they have euthanasia solution in them, and any animal that feeds on the carcass, including bald eagles and endangered species and coyotes, will die typically. So just dumping the animals at the dump is not an approved method. They could be buried somewhere. If somebody wanted, it was still legal to bury animals in Vermont. So if we had somebody that said, I have a backfield and I'm happy to bury them, then that is a legal method, but they do need to be buried deep enough that animals can't dig them up, and same issue. So in that regard, cremation is obviously the safest and the most, it's easiest for us because we have pickup twice a week. So,
Do we have any idea, numbers wise?
yep, I sent them all to Paul.
No, like just the number of feral cats, like how big is the kennel?
I've been told, what did you say, Paul? One colony's, I mean, most colonies are 20 to 50 cats. Some of the big ones can range, if it's bigger territory. I think you had mentioned there's a big colony in town, right?
There's a couple.
We got a couple. My daughters call one Cupcake, I think, but yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, but like, so we have a price per cat, and you're doing a service, and it's at cost. But like, then if we had a guess on like how many per year that would be, or it's just a
So again,
shot in the dark.
because of this, what you're typically looking at is a much higher initial expense the first year. Because
Set,
you've never
basically.
done it before.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay, and say you have 20 cats in a colony and you catch 15 of them. I don't know, just making up numbers here,
Yeah.
but and then some of them are gonna die off or whatever,
Mhm.
but you're not gonna have to do that 15 year after year. It's a one and done
Okay.
deal.
Mhm.
So the costs typically go down in subsequent years because
It's worth it.
the calls come in, they go away. People aren't as, they're not seeing kittens everywhere. Kittens are what break. I mean, everybody hates seeing sickly kittens. That's what gets everybody, because feral cats are really pretty darn good at their life. They're, unless they get hit by a car or something, they do pretty well. But then people will find litters of kittens that are sickly, and that's what gets people upset. Yeah. So then if in the future, 3 years from now, your numbers are going to be dramatically less than they are this year because you're working with a stable.
I think that's something, because we have the same issue with dogs. I think that's something the board will have to discuss, because it's definitely gonna be something in the budget, because we have to budget for at least initial, whether it's cats or dogs, that you're nice enough to take them, euthanize them, but we need to have them cremated.
I mean, dogs is a totally different story because we're not talking about feral dogs.
No,
Right.
right.
Dogs are owned.
Right.
And then it's, but like I had mentioned to Paul, I mean, the current system, we lost Mark Stackpole a few years ago. God love him. He just took everything in. He took him, he had a place at his place, and
Right.
90% of them he ended up adopting. He just,
Yeah.
he just had a heart of gold. But it's not sustainable. I mean, I get people coming in, and I've hauled many a dog to the Humane Society over the years. Paul's hauled many a dog to the Humane Society over the years, but
In his truck, in his
it's not
garage.
always convenient, that I call him on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock and say, hey, I got a dog here, needs to go.
I think it happens more than people think. I mean,
It happens.
Paul gets a lot of calls. We get a lot of calls, even if it's a simple thing, like, oh, there's a dog running loose.
Correct.
And that was just in the spring, we had a puppy that was found behind Shaw that someone abandoned.
Right.
We had to pick it up, and then we ended up taking it to the Humane Society, and someone ended up adopting it, but it was all the whole process, picking it up, bringing it back, holding it for 7 days, testing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And to
Paul
make
taking
matters
it.
worse, I will say, not that it's Poultney's problem, but Granville Vet now, they're owned by corporate and they refuse to deal with it at all. So I have dealt with quite a few cats coming over from Granville. Because their vet won't even open the door and look at it. So
Aren't there two vets in Granville?
it's one vet clinic, there's one vet clinic,
One vet.
small animal clinic, there's a largest.
Right, large and one small.
And
So
one other thing I know that you and I have talked about before, though, there's a way that when you get them, or maybe this is for another conversation too, about when dogs come in and get their rabies shot, that you have a list of all the dogs in Poultney that have had the rabies shot, so therefore we know what.
So I don't
what dogs
have the
are
list.
listed.
So, what I mentioned the other day so in New Hampshire has a state law that when we vaccinate a dog in New Hampshire every month, we send a list of all the dogs we vaccinated that month to the towns. So we would separate all the rabies certificates by town and send them off, or, email them or mail them. Vermont has not done that yet, but it is on the agenda in the legislature now to do so, primarily as another way to get fees. That's why it's a money-making thing, so, but I think it's probably gonna pass. And if that's the case, then dogs are supposed to be licensed. Every town has licensing. But what the town's up against is they don't know who owns dogs, right? I mean, a lot of people live out on back roads and you don't know they have them. How do you enforce
Or if they
licensure?
have their shots.
So, right. It's a safety issue. It's a little bit of a soapbox for me about rabies because people think that it's not an issue. And, my own tech, let me just share a story quickly, but my own tech husband this spring, they have a 8-month-old puppy. He was tied out and Jeff was out with him at 5:30 in the morning and heard a ruckus and went, and the dog had a raccoon. Well, a raccoon shouldn't go up to a tied out dog. It was on a rope tied. And, in the process of trying to get the puppy off the coon bit Jeff and it was rabid. So he's now had to go through prophylaxis and the dog was vaccinated. But that was, they live in West Haven. I've diagnosed rabies twice in indoor only cats. So I can't tell you how many people come to me with cats saying they don't need a rabies shot. They're indoor only. And that's definitely not true. So rabies I have one guy client open his door up on a Friday night, let his dog out and a rabid skunk walked right in his house, right in his front door. So like I say, rabies will find you. You don't need to go looking for it. So, at any rate, the dogs typically in the past, I've taken them in, I take a picture, put them up on Facebook. Depending on how full we are, if I'm empty, then I throw them in my kennel for a day, and at least half the time, I'd say with Facebook, people share. Lost dogs get shared. They'll 3,000 shares overnight. It astounds me how much people love to share posts of lost dogs. So if I have room in the kennel and keep them, then a lot of times people will come and say that it's their pet. And again, what do I charge for that? I make sure they have rabies vaccine because that's mandated by law. It's $20 for rabies only. There's no exam fee, $20 for rabies only. And I can't tell you how many nasty names I've been called by people and refusing and threatening to call cops and everything else because they will not pay $20 for a rabies shot. And those are the people that make me say, you know what, I'm just going to take them all to Humane Society because you can fight with them about it.
Right.
But, I'm not charging you overnight board. I'm not charging you, if you take them from the Humane Society, they charge you a fee to get your dog back.
Yeah.
And I never have. I just say, hey, you got to have a rabies shot, bring proof of rabies and you're good to go. Out the door, free. And we get our head bit off for that. So it's almost not, it gets old after a while. Just let the Humane Society deal with what people. So.
Well, we don't have to discuss because we have been working on dog and ordinance animal this for a while, so.
Yeah, stray dogs and stray cats are two totally different.
Right.
If a cat's not microchipped, your chance of getting it back is zilch, essentially. But dogs usually come back.
It's just still time and money. It's a lot of time out of the
It is.
to get them, pick them up, put it on Facebook, meet them here and pick it up and take them to you. It's a
Right. And I get it that,
yeah.
it's, if you find a dog running down the road, your knee-jerk reaction is to take it to the local vet. That's right. Paul said to me one time, why are they bringing them to you? And I said, no, it's just, they don't know where to take them.
Well, half the problem with the cats is the people get them as kittens. And then if they don't get them spayed or neutered and they start spraying in the house, they let them out. And then that's it. And then somebody else has have to deal with them.
Nailed it. Yep.
And that's what irritates me.
Kittens and puppies are so cute, but they do get older.
And unfortunately, cats are just considered disposable by a lot of society.
Well, any questions? The board have any other questions for Susan?
Feel much more informed now.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan?
I just have, it's kind of an after the fact question, but I've been in a city where they did exactly what you're talking about. And the city took basically adopted various cats and dogs and whatnot and fed them. And one of our biggest concerns is like the songbird population and other small rodents the cats are possibly missing. Is there value in, while we're telling people how to handle this? And should would there be any value in the people that are supporting those cats continuing to? Does that reduce the amount of wildlife that they tend to go
It does
after?
not.
Just eat extra.
It does not. Cats don't hunt for food. They hunt. Their prey drive is higher than their eat drive. So a well-fed cat hunts as much as a hungry cat.
Didn't interfere with that anyway.
So, yeah, so a lot of towns do feed them, again, just trying to keep them healthier or skinny cats around, but you're wasting your breath telling people to not feed cats, because if they want to feed, if they see them and they're living with them, they want to feed them.
Good.
But it does not minimize them to
Okay,
at all.
that answers my question. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we'll be in touch when we make any decisions we make. We appreciate your time, all that you do for Poultney and then having the vet right here. We're hoping that you get an emergency vet service in there at some point.
Yeah, I keep dreaming.
Little plug.
If I could just ask you one question, you have a permit for an addition
I
to the
do,
vet clinic.
because I can't get help. I finally just hired another vet in May.
Okay,
And if I had a way to confirm that I could keep help, this is a nationwide problem. I mean,
really?
this is, I could, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Nationwide, there's a
Just-
desperate shortage of veterinarians,
Curious.
and there's no end in sight, and it's getting worse. And so
Really?
I can't sign on to $1 million expansion if I am the only vet making any money over there.
Right. Okay,
Good choice.
just curious.
So, yes, I bought the lot that was, because if I
Yeah.
hope to expand, I have to have that, but
Yes, you should.
I have to, I figured out I can't do this 24 hours a day, 7 days.
Right. No,
Not
you-
anymore. Why not? It's in 5 years.
but it does make the nice neighborhood, but you have a lot more parking.
So, right.
Right. Yeah, dog walking and stuff.
So we appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Feel free to stay or
Yeah, no, I mean, is that the end of this topic?
does anybody else does everybody have the questions answered? Anybody online? I didn't check.
Very
Yeah,
quiet.
we're good. On to food trucks.
Food truck ordinance.
Jamie Lee.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So, yeah, that's it. Mark's got it. Everyone's got it.
Everyone's got it.
That's wonderful. Okay, so I was just doing some math over there and I realized it's been almost 20 years that I've been working with the planning commission in one way or another. But it's always been zoning. Yeah, next year. It's always been zoning or planning and zoning and planning and zoning and planning. This is the first time, in my recollection, maybe I'm blacking something out, but we're taking on something that's well beyond town plan into zoning or subdivision or flood regs stuff. There's actually 3 topics that have been on the planning commission's table this year. One was a food truck ordinance, which is in front of you now, draft form, of course. 2 was a short-term rental regulations. Again, that'll be up to you guys to consider, but based on very pressures and housing pressures, we wanted to work on that. And the third thing on our minds is capital planning. So that's what we've been into since the last bylaw update. In front of you is the food truck ordinance. We did have a public comment meeting and a survey that went out earlier in the year. That survey was a bit like advertised online, but I also made sure to mail a letter to the food trucks that I knew that were in existence and working sometimes in Poultney, like had been to the 4th of July, something like that, as well as the restaurant owners, because those are the 2 populations we really wanted to hear from. There is, the survey results are available in a presentation that's at poultneyplanning.com/food-truck-ordinance, or it's on the homepage there. Some of you were there, so thank you very much for coming out for that. But you can definitely look at the responses, which were kind of all over the place. In general, people were in favor of having some sort of regulations. A lot of the people who responded really liked food trucks and really liked the concept of them being here in town. We did get a handwritten letter from Perry's Main Street Eatery kind of begging us to not allow food trucks. So we did get all sides. It's just that probably doesn't need explaining, but restaurant profit margins are very thin. So any other external pressures is really painful. So putting all that in mind, Planning Commission did draft, or we cribbed from the town of Westford, food truck regulations that we thought kind of fit the scale of Poultney and the activity that we've been seeing so far. This is a standalone ordinance. That means y'all adopt it, which is great news because it's not a bylaw that needs the 2 required hearings and the 60-day, whatever. I don't know exactly how you adopt things, so best of luck with that. Now, you have a couple of things to consider. One,
maybe don't regulate them at all. Two, if you're gonna regulate them, how are you gonna regulate them? And this provides you with some of those paths. We did restrict it to location based, so accompanying your materials is a map that shows locations that we thought were proper for the first year of Poultney having a food truck ordinance, could be expanded later. So your task, the kind of three things, you're going to read this in your spare time, before bed. It's going to be great literature, and either A, reject it, say, heck no, we don't want any sort of regulations, right? B, say, okay, this is great, but here are the 1, 2, 3 things that are not included here that I would like to see, where this is a change to a map. Or maybe you love it, and that's the third thing, you could just adopt it outright. But I would love to pass along a suggestion that I heard from our new zoning administrator. If it falls under our VLCT membership, to have one of their attorneys review it before you adopt it, that would be really cool. Because I don't know that Westford knew what they were doing, and then we hodgepodge some things in there from other towns that we liked, as you do when you're writing ordinances. So it'd be really awesome to have their approval. So clearly you guys just got this, sit on it, invite me back to another meeting. If you want to kick it back to the planning commission with those 1, 2, 3, 4 goals that you wanted to see incorporated, that's all good. If you want to see some slight changes to the map, that's me. I'm happy to help you out with that. If you want to yell at us, you're welcome to come to any of our meetings.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a lot of work. Good. Give us time to look it over, check out some maps, read it, and get back to you.
Okay.
For this event.
And I looked at it again for the first time in a long time, and it looks okay. There are things highlighted in there that might be black and white.
Yeah, I ran out of.
That's okay.
I ran out of yellow.
It's online, but I mean, you'll notice there are things like who's in charge of accepting these applications, or who's going to be the enforcement officer, and what is the permit fee going to be? That I don't know. That's up to you guys. We included in there what Westford had. If you really want more information, we did review 6 or 7 other towns as food truck ordinances, and I can send you their fee schedules, but it's a starting point.
Yeah, correct.
Does everybody feel comfortable taking these home and reviewing them?
Yeah.
Looking through them and writing down some ABC homework?
Mark did his homework.
Thank you, Jamie, very much, and your team.
Thank you all. Yes,
Yeah.
we got planning commissioners in attendance tonight too.
Yeah, look it over. See. Sound like a plan, Paul? Listen.
Sure.
But you have any questions for Jamie while she's here? It was a great meeting. That was a good start. I mean, you had to start off with the survey, so yeah, got a lot of good feedback in that meeting.
Do you have an ideal turnaround time on
No.
a decision or anything? Like, is this a?
This was, the genesis of this was there was a person, a new property owner, I believe, who came to the planning commission meeting to complain about the noise being created by a food truck in her neighborhood. And we were like, it's kind of not our thing because it's not planning or zoning. So they took it to the select board to complain about. And actually that person who owned the food truck did arrive at our public meeting, and she had since upgraded her equipment and hopefully dumbed down that noise. So no, we don't have a particular turnaround. It'd be amazing if this were adopted for the 2026 season, because at this point,
Yep.
the demand for food trucks is down. Also, you'll notice as you read through it, but we tried to make an exception for 4th of July or chili, like town events. We're going to have food trucks, so they shouldn't have to go through all the pains of an application just for that when they're invited by the town to be present.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's lots of fun stuff in there. Hope you find it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Paul.
So, did everyone have a chance to look at the ethics and conflicts of interest policy that I gave you last meeting?
Anybody have
Mm-hmm.
questions or comments about it? I think.
Common sense stuff.
Yeah.
Be a good person.
So does someone want to make a motion to adopt that?
No.
Second
That's
thought.
called ethics and conflicts of interest policies and procedures.
Second, Jay?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do you want to name your designated person that receives ethics complaints?
That'd be you.
Town manager?
Anybody want to think about it? No, that's yours. Another
You're
hat.
making that motion, Alan?
Anyone second it? Sure.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? You're it, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, so, I just made a note, I think the last meeting, someone inquired of whether or not the state was gonna have a meeting similar to the meeting we had for the Thurl Road Bridge project reconstruction meeting, just kind of talk about the timelines, how it's gonna work kind of thing. So I did talk with my state, and he has lined up, not only his team, but, VHB, who's the engineer on the project. And, Wind Construction, who is gonna be doing the work, they're gonna attend a Zoom meeting on September 8th to kind of give a debriefing on when they're gonna start, what it's gonna look like, how traffic's gonna be controlled, timeline for the project, etc. So tell all your friends if they want to know what's going on. September 8th is the day of the meeting, and I hope we get a lot of public participation in that meeting.
Will that meeting be here, Paul, or at the firehouse?
I think right now plan to be here. They're going to Zoom, so I hope people take advantage of the Zoom.
What?
So at the last meeting, we talked about the ATV ordinance, and my job was to speak with our attorney on if you adopted it on a trial basis, how easily or not easily is it to unwind. They're looking into it for me. I don't have an answer yet. But along the same lines as the food truck ordinance, I want to make sure that if we do adopt something, we do it procedurally correct. And again, to answer the question of whether or not it's easy to unwind, I'd hope to have an answer by today, but it's been assigned to one of our attorneys' people to look at it and give me a memo on it. So hopefully next meeting I'll have an answer on that one.
I did try to get a hold of Benson too, because Benson just changed theirs, and I wanted to figure out what the story was, why they decided against it, and what the reasoning was, but I couldn't get a hold of anybody because I called late, I guess. So I'll continue to do that. I don't know if anybody knows or has information on that, but I thought it'd be good for us to know because they had it and then they changed it, so I'm not sure why that is.
I don't know.
I just wanted to get some feedback to bring.
I met a guy from Orwell at the Shrine game, and he said it's going okay, but it kind of broke down in between the lands. The local people liked it in Orwell, but the out of towners did not like it. But they have
Different than Poultney, but yeah.
right, but they had a townwide vote. There was a townwide vote.
So we will table that to the next meeting, get in more information, and if anybody bring more information, feel free to.
The clerk did give me a liquor license, tobacco license application for renewal at the Dollar General. So I don't know if you want to approve that or.
Anyone want to make a motion to approve the liquor license, Dollar General?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
And the tobacco license.
Val second, all in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Been carried.
You're gonna want to sign. Pass that to Cheryl. Please.
Can I use a purple pen? Does it matter? I just thought of that.
Go ahead.
But sometimes you can't, you have to do a black or blue. No, I grabbed the wrong one. I'm like, oh God, what if it's? It's a big purple.
I did want to let everyone know that we generated the tax bills. I had a meeting with Nemrick to go over our numbers. And we generated the tax bills on Friday. I was supposed to mail them on Saturday, but I completely forgot. So I mailed them this morning. Statutorily, we're still in compliance because you had to have them in the mail by August 15th. We've been trying to do it sooner. like I said, I forgot to come down here and get them and bring them to the post office. So everyone can be looking for their new tax bill, because quite a few people have been calling, looking for it.
Yeah, wanting to get the payment. Great, thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Rutland Planning Commission.
There hasn't been a meeting since the last select board meeting. They don't typically meet in the summer.
Sorry, well.
Yeah, I mean, I jump back in when it comes time. I have another.
Certainly, right.
Don't go. Don't tell me when. I just.
Okay, public comments.
Yeah, public comments. Back to the cats thing.
That's okay.
Two things. If I'm gonna be doing all the spay and neutering, this is just a beg. If possible, I would love to do it in the wintertime, because I'm just a little bit nuts. So wintertime is best for me. But the other thing is that the Humane Society has a program that is undervalued tremendously, and that is if you find a mother cat with kittens and trap the mom, basically the program is such you take the mom and the kittens to them, and if the kittens are young enough that they can foster them and tame them, they'll spay the mom for free. So then you don't pay anything, and you still have to pick her up and ask them to notch the ear and treat it like a feral cat, but that way she gets spayed for free, and the kittens don't end up in the colony, they end up getting adopted out, and that's a great, so if it behooves you sometimes to try to.
The kittens usually go in the trap with them.
No, it's more a matter of
Finding
catching them while they're really, really young, and this is again part of the science of how to properly trap.
As long as the property owner doesn't let out the kittens, because that's what happened to me over on York Street. When I was trapping them, I'd have 2 or 3, and I'd come back from dropping the kids off to school. The kittens are out.
So you're saying you're the trap expert? Is that what you're telling me, Brenda?
Not anymore. I have a full-time job, but thank you very much.
That's interesting being a trap expert.
Could you like,
No.
yeah, could you like teach a small seminar, like if you're looking for volunteers? Yeah. Might be something.
I mean, the biggest thing is you have to get the cats to me reasonably. They can't sit in a trap for 2 days.
Right.
They have to be rechecked the same day that they're trapped. And then I don't want them for 3 days either. So I keep them overnight because I don't want to release them coming off anesthesia. So they'd stay overnight, but they're going to be in the have heart trap again because we can't handle them. So they're placed back in. I mean, I can maybe put them in a carrier because then all I got to do is just open the carrier door. But my point is I keep them overnight, and then come morning, somebody needs to come pick them up and take them back to where they got them from.
That's all things we have to really have a plan for, think about.
Right. I mean, I will make it, I'm not making, like, you wouldn't make appointments with me. Basically, it'd be a matter of if you call me up and say, hey, I've got a cat, and we'll say, hey, drop it off, and we may or may not get to it today, but we can at least, we'll work it in the schedule.
Here's your first tip. Put the trap up, because if it's down, you're gonna get Pepe Le Pew, and there ain't no fun in that. I will tell you that. I've had like 50 skunks that I've trapped.
Well,
We've got a lucky cat, so.
It's great fun.
They often don't too many. Okay, do I have anybody else for public comments and questions? Pat?
I have a couple quick ones.
Sure.
Has the Java transfer station been filled?
No, that's
Not
a
yet, no.
discussion. Yeah, we have executive session tonight, so we have some discussion.
And, the other piece of that is, will the bottle drive continue?
That's up for discussion too. We have not made any decisions on that as of yet.
There's good money to be made there. And my second one is this is not gonna be popular, and I apologize, but when Joe Blair was there, it was 5 days a week for the employees. I think Ron started out 5 days, but then they switched to summer hours, 4 days, winter 5. I think we're now at 4 days year round, but correct me if I'm wrong. It just seems like most of our storms fall on a weekend, and we're paying ungodly amounts of overtime. And could it change back to 5 days during the winter months?
That's something to think about. Anybody have any discussion on the board right now? It was said and was voted on, so that's something we'd have to bring up and talk about it, and maybe we could set it up and vote on it.
Yeah.
We haven't made any decision on transfer station yet, so maybe it will be brought up again when we talk about that, but as of right now,
Thank you.
Thank you.
anybody else have any other questions from the Mary Sue?
I was wondering if there's any update on the new town garage. You know, property was being looked at and
It's one thing we're gonna talk about tonight in executive session.
also the bank building, same thing. Any update on that?
We're talking about that tonight as well.
Late night.
Yeah.
Downstairs, are we?
And just to continue Pat's concerns about the highway department's hours, I think that when that was first brought up and changed, that the board was going to look at the budget and see how the highway department budget was impacted by changing to 4 days a week. So I don't know if that's been done.
We, it's one of those things that we gotta sit down, the bookkeeper and I have to sit down and right now, with the time of year, end of fiscal year, et cetera, it's been a little bit crazy, but it is on our list to look at that.
Thank you.
And we did have a lot of storms that were weekends, so they're out at 2 a.m. on the Friday or 2 a.m. on a Saturday and Sunday to clean up, whether it's a windstorm, a rainstorm, a washout, or if it's snowstorm.
We gotta call the weather person and tell them to switch.
Yeah, tell them it's storms on weekends, but
Synchronize.
yeah.
Screws up everything for me.
A lot of us don't see them when they drive by at 2 a.m. to check and see how the roads are they icy, was there storm, did a tree fall down? Yeah, so, Jonathan.
Just the curiosity, I heard transfer station and then I heard road, overtime, and then I didn't understand how the transfer station was affected by this. The road crew makes sense, but how is the transfer?
No connections.
No, it was.
Oh, you were guys.
two
asking
separate-
two separate
yes,
questions.
separate.
I heard the same thing.
So what was the question about overtime?
It's highway department.
What was the actual question? Because was it that we're concerned about how many hours were being spent or how they're being spent, or I didn't.
I think the question is if they're doing a 4-day work week, all year round, including the winter, are we having a lot of overtime falling on the Friday, which they wouldn't be on if they were on a 5-day work week, they wouldn't be on overtime. So the question is there a lot of overtime on a Friday that they wouldn't be here?
And unless it's actively snowing, are they doing a lot of the work during workday hours, or is it usually like as the snow falls and shortly after? Because I'm just curious if we can tie a link between the schedule, the favorable schedule that they clearly work around, versus switching over to something that might feel a little bit more sensible, but at the same time doesn't actually involve cost savings in terms of where the hours are actually being spent. Because I want to preserve the 4-day week for the road crew as much as possible. We can't give them all the rewards we'd like to for all the extras they do for us, but that's something we can, as a town, get behind and support. If those hours are happening during a time where they would normally be scheduled, then I think there's a 1-for-1 comparison. But if it's happening after hours or on weekends, I wouldn't see that affecting it. And I would say that that's maybe a false lead to chase if we determine that.
Well, I think it's different. It could be different every year. Unfortunately, all our storms came on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We had a lot of them. Maybe next season they'll be all on a Monday, Tuesday. Who knows? We don't know, but
In the winter before that, we had pretty much no overtime
No
because it
snow.
barely snowed.
Yeah, I totally agree. The summer hours should be, 4 days a week.
I see what you're saying.
Give them a break, give them a long weekend, give them time for their business.
Right.
But it just seems like,
they're still working the same amount of hours though. You know that they're not getting out earlier. They're getting Friday off, but they're working longer. So when they start a project on the loop road, they're still working. So it's not like we're saying, you don't have to work so much. You have it, take the day off. It's just extending their days. So when they're doing a project, they're starting the project and could try to finish the project without having to stop at 3. So that's why part of that was set up to help with some of the major projects that we have.
And of course, the state crew does the same thing in the summer, but then they go back to the 5-day work week.
when I originally asked the board or presented this concept to the board, whatever it was, time frame ago, I had done that because Vermont Local Roads did a survey throughout the state of Vermont with different towns, municipalities. And a lot of them found that, you know, whether you have inclement weather this year, you have little to no inclement weather the next year. And basically, long story short, it balanced out for the towns, for those towns that opted to do the 410s year round versus the other towns that, you know, if basically, I mean, I don't want to go ahead and just start saying it out there, but I presented that due to what the survey from Vermont Local Road said, because there was some sort of surveying done there instead of me just saying, yeah, I think we'll be okay, but I don't really know. I let somebody else do the survey and, you know.
They came out as for the 410s and the overtime.
Yeah, they loved it. They found it's more productive. It's a more efficient day because, you know, let's face it, by the time we load up the excavator, grease it up, do all that kind of stuff in an 8-hour day, by the time we get to the job site, we now might have 6 hours left to minus the mandatory 2 breaks a day that were allowed as well, you know? So it's a much more efficient day, and it's also much happier for the employees to have the possibility of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if there is no inclement weather or something that doesn't require us to come in and put signs out on 140 for a culvert failure or whatever reason it may be, you know? So that's my.
Just like they weren't working this weekend, but I had to call them up fine. So Joel came from his house in Hampton over to the garage and Paul came from his house to come over just so we made sure the bikers and the East Poultney Day were set with signs and cones, which is something that they didn't get paid for. They just, they came in. But it is something we will talk about after Paul talks to Nisha and they get that set. We'll keep you posted on ours.
Another question.
Anybody else?
You know me, Carol.
It's Carol. I got my staples out there.
So this is really, I guess, for Sarah. It's in the minutes from the July 29th meeting, and I'm just a little bit confused where it's talking about the merger committee meeting. I know that we have till August 18th to submit some comments, but then in the minutes it says, and the final presentation will be on September 8th. Is that a final presentation to just the merger committee or to the select board? And of course, that sounds like it's going to be a busy night to begin with.
Yeah, so it is supposed to be a final presentation to the community. So the draft report that's sent to the steering committee was sent 2 weeks ago, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, with a request for feedback is the almost complete report. So it's about 90% complete. So the steering committee's charge is to review that report and to ask questions and to make any comments prior to the next Monday, I think is when we're supposed to be sending that information back out to the committee. The report currently is 118 pages.
Yep.
So that work is within the committee to review. And from there, the consultant will take that information and finalize it into their final report, which will be not, it will present the scenarios that are possible. So it's not as though the final report will tell anyone, either the town or the village, specifically what direction they should go. It just analyzes all of the information that's been available. So that final report and presentation is currently scheduled for the for the first meeting in September. And unless we hear from the committee that we need to push it back, or you need additional time, then that is currently the plan. To have a presentation of the full scope of the project, which I think has gone on for about a year. It is partially funded by a municipal planning grant, and the town will need to request reimbursement of that grant before the end of the year. So that's one of the things that's driving the process at this point. The other thing that's sort of driving the process is that there is a lot of change that's happening in the community. So you have to take a slice of where you're at right now. So if you don't have that moment in time, you could kind of continue this work indefinitely. So that's what the steering committee is being asked to do right now, is to review the process, the draft report, and to provide comments. And then they will come back and make that final presentation to the public.
I was just, and the final presentation to the public is on September 8th.
It's currently scheduled for September 8th.
So you're talking about the townspeople, the village people, and everybody. So would that take place at the town, at the fire department, or what? I mean, that's huge because it's the informational meeting before, I'm assuming it would have to go to a vote,
Well,
or no?
you can jump in, Paul, if you need, but the process, I mean, the committee, the trustees and the select board would then decide your next actions. So whatever those actions may be from your report, that the sole charge for the consultant for this particular project is to analyze the information. It's not to say you should do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
So that the next steps would come back to the local boards. But yeah, it is scheduled to take place that. Then if we need to push it back, we can, but we don't have a lot more time after that.
Okay.
We will have a meeting. That's what you're saying. Will we have a meeting to discuss, yes, the decision made, and then you have the final vote? So is that what you're asking? Like, will there a meeting for the town and village to say, this is what we came up with? So then you'll have, is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm just wondering if the merger committee would see this final draft before it went out to the public, which it sounds like September 8th, anybody. You could have 300 or 400 people because this was a vote several years ago. That's what I'm wondering about. Or
I don't see how we can possibly do both a select board meeting and a merger committee meeting on the same day.
that's what I can't understand. And you have a 31 meeting that day too. Yeah, that'll be a big one.
Yeah, 31 meeting.
September 8th is not a select board meeting.
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is.
So the bridge, they're gonna zoom.
Oh, you're right.
The regular select board meeting.
It is.
So I think we should talk with our consultant on that, Sarah.
Goes through the grant wise, we need to have the merger one on that.
I mean, you just don't want to allow it to continue to slide. That's all. You have some time in September. You have some time with the grant. I believe the MPG applications are in the fall, or they have historically been in fall. So if the town wants to apply for a new MPG, we did not apply last year.
Good.
So this MPG is 2 years old, but if you have additional planning work that you want to potentially make an application for, which we've heard some of, you need to clear this grant before you can apply for a new MPG. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's driving it, but also the merger committee is changing. Jeff was the chair of the merger committee. You have a vice chair, who is currently Joe. But you haven't had meetings for a while because nothing has happened. But the draft that is currently with the merger committee is substantially complete.
So what do you think, Paul?
Well, we're gonna have to talk with the consultant. I mean, we can't have a merger meeting on the same day we have a regular select board meeting. So,
And the bridge meeting too.
what's gonna be a select board meeting?
That's a select board meeting.
That's what the.
I have one other question, Cheryl. Actually, it's more of a comment. Earlier this summer, when there was a race down at Paradox, which is the motocross track on New Boston Road, we had some issues, and Medrick Petty and a lot of the people down there, the trucks weren't paying any attention with the trailers behind them to go through the bridge. They might have been okay weight-wise, but with the size of the trailers, we had some that had to get turned around down there and so forth. There is a race down there this weekend with practice on Saturday. The race is on Sunday. And then next weekend, there's a very big race down there that'll have practice on Friday, Saturday, and then the race on Sunday. I'm just wondering if maybe either someone on the board or Paul, I don't mean to always put it on Paul, would want to send an email or contact Paradox and just see if they can't put it on their website to let people aware of the status of the bridge to try to avoid it and stay to 22. I have their email
Yeah, I was gonna
address.
say, can you forward your email email the information?
Yes, I
So we'll
can,
know.
yes.
That'd be great.
As I noticed, the bridge has been open to 9 feet now, right?
It's always been 9 feet.
It's always been 9 feet, actually more than 9 feet.
Right. Well, these trailers are no more than 8 feet wide.
Some of them are bigger than that.
Really?
Earlier this summer, there was quite a few incidents down there.
Because that was the national limit. Unless you go to oversize.
It's up to you guys, but I just know Medrick and some of the other ones were down there stopping them, and probably Jay probably saw where some of them were trying to get turned around down there.
Really?
Well, it doesn't hurt to send it out and just let them know, to remind them that the bridges,
Yeah,
frontage
for
and
sure.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be great. If you could send that, at least we'll know the email, we could send something out. Thanks, Carol. Anybody else? Can't see here. Anybody on Zoom have any questions for the board? Great. We're entering into executive session. On Ellen.
Okay, I was looking at.
Pursuant to one instance, section 313 and one, you can move. There's a basis for personal, the substantial business during that on premise stuff outside.
Thanks, guys. Take a motion, second.
Yeah.
Seconded.
I definitely got a second.
Jay?
Second.
Oh, you second?
David, Daphne.
All in favor?
One VSA section 313A1A and make a motion for an executive session to discuss contract matters.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're entering into executive session, it's a board order, motion and three motions.
Motion to sign board orders.
You would,
Second that.
Mhm.
We came out of executive session with no action taken.
I just want to make sure you're on Zoom. Okay.
Hmm.
I have a motion to, accept the board orders.
We already did that.
You did you second it? All in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.